chief servant, comrade governor. At the end of the day, most of them ended up answering questions at the EFCC. So, but Soludo gives us hope. I mean, he's a professor, a former CBN governor, and you don't get more qualified than that. And therefore, we all have an interest in Anambra State as a beacon, you know. So that's what yesterday he was sworn in. Of course, you all know immediately he changed his car. He now uses a car produced in Anambra State. All these things we hope will not just be rhetoric. We hope there'll be more action to it. But talking about action, of course, all you've been waiting for, there was the famous slapping yesterday of two dignitaries, Bianca Ojukwu and the wife of the governor. A very, very unfortunate incident. Now, I'm going to go according to what is written in the Punch as to what happened. It says, just as Soludo was about to take his oath of office, fracas between Ebele Chukwu and Bianca disrupted the proceedings. The commotion started when Ebele Chukwu engaged in a fight with Bianca, the former governor's wife, who arrived at the venue late. That's the governor's wife now. Approached Bianca where she was seated and was muttering some words, which apparently angered the latter. Guests who sat close to Bianca said Ebele Chukwu ordered some words in Igbo language, which roughly translated to, so Bianca, you are here. I thought you said our government would fail and that we won't serve 8 years. Now we have served 8 years. You have said you won't attend any Abga event again. So why are you here? The Punch says that it was gathered that Ebele Chukwu repeatedly muttered the words as she approached Bianca, being told Pofo. You know, she kept repeating the same thing, you know, like chanting. That's what Pofo means. You know, where you see somebody carrying a dangerous weapon, is reciting some whatever it is. Anyway, that repeatedly muttered the words as she approached Bianca, who was seated on the front row with the former governor, Willie Obiano, an action which angered the ex-beauty queen, who landed a slap on the face of the former governor's wife, Odon. The immediate past first lady of the state then grabbed Bianca's hair and pulled it before security operatives. This is a mess. This is a mess. I don't want to waste your time. We are going to treat it thoroughly at 9. Yes, thoroughly at 9. I have some women of timber and caliber in matters like this. Nkiru, the farmer, will be here, the stallion, you know, and Taba Milajaja, all of them, tough women who will all critically, including you, will look at this event. But I think it was a complete disgrace. The two of them should have comported themselves. I don't want to blame one person. If this is all that was said, I don't think, you know, Bianca should have gone, you know, she should have comported herself. And then, of course, there's a debate. You know, I had this debate with some people yesterday. One said that, if I was one who was slapped, I would return it 4 or 5 times. But apparently, there was a scuffle. There was a scuffle, and he said that she grabbed Bianca. It is a mess. It is a mess. But funny thing is this, and listen to this, for you to give you an idea of who Ebele Chukwu is. It says that Ebele Chukwu had been stopped at the gate when her convoy attempted to use the main gate.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
She came late for the event, while her husband arrived much earlier and had already inspected the guard of honor. For a day like that, you come with your husband. You should have arrived with your husband on the glorious day. You see what it says? As soon as the event started, Soludo took the oath of the office and effectively became the governor. And it says that when she came late, a barricade was put on the expressway leading into the government house, while Ebele Chukwu was asked by security men to drive down. If you go to an event where you have the president or the governor, once they are seated, some doors are locked. That is standard practice. And she came late. And all said and done, I expect much better, you know, from this. These are two top people setting examples for the younger women, fighting like akunakunas at a public event. It's unfortunate.
What's akunakuna?
Ask Kelvin, he will tell you. Akunakuna is a senior brother of Parambulator. it jolly well. We laugh about it now, but I just can't imagine it happening in any decent society. That two of you would be in physicals. But take a look at, go to your Google and Google pictures and take a look at Mrs. Ebelechuku. Her sunglasses alone will give you a fair idea of what you're about to see.
There's been a lot of stuff going around as to the person of the former first lady.
No, she's not befitting of that office. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I saw some videos of her dancing. Maybe it's time we now actually do train and listen. When we are voting, as you are voting in president or governor or whatever, you better keep an eye on the first lady too. With the people must be ready to go through the. You can knock out a man just because his wife is not befitting of that post,
and even the kids.
I'm sorry, but and listen, Bianca herself is a former ambassador.
Yeah, I think to Spain.
Yes,
if not,
to
is
Spain,
she not still the present? I'm not sure, but at least I'm not sure exactly where this
is former. I don't think she's the present. I don't think she's. I think she's the former.
Former, okay.
And she should have shown a lot.
So both of them, they've got this responsibility on their shoulders that they completely abandoned.
They abandoned. And the way to handle such things is sometimes, if you know within yourself your temper, is to walk away, pretend like you're going to the toilet. So if she keeps pulling, you keep doing the right thing.
I know that you said that you don't want to blame anybody, but I'll blame the former first lady because she
for initiating
exactly.
But you can't absorb Bianca too of blame. That's what I mean.
Well, maybe, but I'll blame her first.
Whether first or last, the two of them are to be blamed.
Maybe, but I'll blame her.
Because something about public offices, you will face challenges like this. They could throw pure water at you. They could throw anything at you. They could throw a bottle of wee-wee at you and so on and so forth. You must learn to comport yourself in public.
I agree.
You must learn to.
I totally
supposing,
agree.
Okay, now let me tell you something about life, which is why I don't get involved in things like this. And why I didn't agree with the person who was arguing with me yesterday. I will slap her back. Slap her back. Now, woman, no. I will slap her back.
Is the person listening?
Of course, the person is listening. Probably driving. If you in an attempt because you are angry or whatever, you slap somebody. The person already has an ailment or whatever you don't know about, falls down and dies. What led to it will become irrelevant. You'll be lucky if you get away with manslaughter. That is why you must never, no matter the temptation, hit another person. It happened sometime in the 80s at Apapa Road. One traffic warden was doing nonsense. One man came down from his Lexus car. The guy died there. He'd been in the heat. You don't know the health condition of. You know that even in boxing, there are some areas of the head you're not allowed to. You're not allowed to touch because it could be. So it should be avoided. Even when that's why we say when you want to even cane a child, either cane on the hand or hold the bomb and deliver it. You just don't know. One has to be extremely careful. And therefore, I blame two of them. I blame two of them. But the drama, I think it will probably be the next story, is that Obiano himself, on his way out of the country yesterday, was nabbed by the EFCC.
But let's take a look at this one. Or perhaps we should just talk about that. As a matter of fact, former Governor Obiano being picked up by the EFCC at the airport, really. But
we had the story. Well, there's not much.
There's not much to it. Really.
There's not much to it. That I think is about 4 billion or so that it is claimed. You've seen it. Okay, yes. EFCC picks up US bound Obiano at the airport yesterday, but he should have known because they'd already given notice that they were going to pick him up anyway. So I think instead of going to the EFCC, he should have gone. Instead of going to the airport, he should have gone to the EFCC in the morning. But Mofema Law, is there any to save himself the embarrassment? But he says that he was arrested at the airport around 8:30 p.m. Mudano. The Punch learned that Obiano was arrested for allegedly mismanaging over 17 billion. Over 17 billion Paris Club refund and security votes. He's also being probed over some suspicious projects, including the international airport project.
Because I was going to mention that international airport.
But why do we repeatedly have corruption cases in large sums? Remember, I was telling Nedu the other day, as I remember that for everybody that is charged with an offense of misappropriation, whether the person is guilty or not, that money is missing.
It is missing. And maybe it will stay missing.
And it will stay. I mean, if Obiano is let off here, then most likely the money is gone. And why in such volumes? He's not been found guilty. Let me quickly add that. And I'm not making a special reference to him. I'm just talking in general terms. This appetite we have, for a sense of entitlement for whacking government money. But he will have his day in court. So far, he's at the EFCC. I think they will grant him bail, and I hope they will charge him to court, and his whatever will be swift and get it over and done with very quickly.
Indeed. NLC wades into Lagos NURTW crisis. That's from Vanguard, page 9.
That's what should have happened from day one. We tend to forget that the NURTW is a labor body, and so this idea of what's his name now. Is a labor body under the supervision of the Ministry of Labor. So this idea of MC Oloma saying or hinting or whatever that his own group will do this, there's no group. You can't just form a labor union out of the blues. You can't have two NURTWs. It's not possible. There will only be one. And so that is the procedure that the government should have followed. The part that concerns the government with NURTW is very simple. And that you should have found another means by which money can be collected from these union members. If it means having a biannual ticket or whatever it is, or annual ticket stuck on your car or something, but this idea of whatever union it might be, then for this gentleman to say that, he wants to form his own group, it's not possible, it's not right. No, and I hope the government will stand firm on the law. Yes.
In Oyo State, the state government there, they have their own separate transport union.
Yes.
Apart from the one that
Apart from NURTW.
Apart from NURTW.
Really?
Yes, they have their own.
And they collect money on the streets like
this?
Yes.
So even the headline that says NLC wants to waiting, I wonder in what capacity really?
No, the NURTW is under the NLC.
No, I stand to be corrected, but unless the NURTW comes out to say that they are under the NLC, because NLC is not a compulsory thing for all labor unions to be a part of.
Well, I don't think NURTW is also compulsory. What you have is extortion.
It shouldn't be compulsory.
It shouldn't be. What you have is extortion.
I agree.
God, I mean, come on, give me a break.
I agree.
We all know what is going on.
They force all motorists to pay levies and all of those things.
What you have apart from these labor unions could be associations. Okay, you can have association. I mean, you can form an association. We can form association of Burning Crossfire. All of us were involved. I mean, you can do those things. The government should just, confine itself to the fact that you cannot collect dues the way you are doing. That's the part that concerns the public. And for people, I've seen some people put up an argument to say that, if you take these people off the roads, crime will increase and so on and so forth. So are you now going to perpetually endorse illegality just because you don't want to face it? I think that we should try and force these people out of town. Because you see, what has happened is that everybody who has lost his job in all the four corners of Nigeria ends up coming to Lagos. That we must discourage. That we must discourage. Whether you like it or not, we must discourage. And I remember telling Governor Ambode this, that you have to decongest Lagos by policy. Make it very difficult for you to be in Lagos if you don't have. It's done in other countries.
Right.
They also have ways of encouraging you to stay, but you can make life difficult for people because, see, Lagos is congested. Almost 1/4 of the population now are homeless. That's a dangerous development. You can't account for them.
It's scary. Actually.
So when you put up that argument that they will take to crime, and so you must find an ingenious way to make sure that you control the crime area, but make it have some disincentive, something to get them to go back. Some people are even better off in their states, but everybody sees Lagos now as an El Dorado. You know, which it is not. Because what Lagos gives you with the right hand, it takes with the left. You cannot balance in Lagos. Very difficult. Very difficult.
That's something. That's
Yes.
something. Another area I feel before we move away from this Lagos story is the area of the Security Trust Fund. Because if that argument that you have said that people are putting forward that you have breakdown of law and order issue,
Yes.
then I would ask, like, do we exactly know what is being done with the trust fund, the Security Trust Fund, that Lagos has in place? Because as far as I know, I mean, the insecurity in Lagos can be alarming sometimes, most times.
Well, the insecurity in Lagos cannot be quelled by just procuring arms and ammunition and vehicles and walkie-talkies and so on and so forth. You will have to have an like a complete overhaul. For example, one of the things that we do not have in this town is making examples of those who break the law. I keep emphasizing it. Making examples. Because that is what holds other countries in good stead. That if you are caught, crime goes on everywhere in the world.
Everywhere in the world.
Everywhere in the world. But you see, what makes it more difficult for the practitioners is, don't try this thing here. If you are caught, you are in for it. We don't have that here. There's always a soft landing for this and
Culture
a
of
soft landing
impunity.
for that. A culture of impunity. So it's not, yes, I agree. I don't know how the trust fund is being spent. But again, in Lagos, you don't know how anything is being spent. Yes, if you put in a request, they keep dribbling you up and down. Nobody knows. It's a closed shop. It's a closed shop. So, and I don't think the Security Trust Fund will be any different, which is unfortunate because it's funded mainly from the private sector. And we need to commend those who make these funds available as part of their CSR, because they could jolly well pump the money somewhere else.
Right.
But how did Fashola got these people off the road? We need to go and ask him what his template was. I think the major problem, unless we want to kid ourselves, because these guys are hands in gloves with the top leadership of the party in Lagos. They have grown in leaps and bounds, and their impunity has increased. The other day, I heard they went to the governor's house at 6 o'clock in the morning to wake him up. Listen to the account of what's his name now, Kunle Poli, the wife. Go and check out what that woman said in her interview. It's on YouTube. Very revealing. So you can see that if care is not taken, nobody will blame you for thinking that the government is also complicit in this problem. They fraternize with them. They've almost become equals. And all these so-called types that you were calling yesterday have now become big boys. They live in the choicest places in town. They drive the choicest cars. So what does that get you?
Let's go to this day newspaper and take this front page story. Buni overrules Akpanodedehe, says all Bello's decisions stand, insists he transferred power to Niger governor to act in his stead. El Rufai, I'm done with this charade unless concrete, honest steps are taken to implement agreed plans.
In don't vex. I've never seen such confusion in my life. And this is a ruling party. Little wonder we are in the mess that we are. To run a party has become so difficult. Now, okay, you brought back the chairman. Is it chairman or president they call him? You brought back the chairman, but you knocked out the please pronounce his name.
Acting Akpanodedehe.
Akpanodedehe. You knocked him out. What is all this confusion about? The confusion is about grabbing power at the center, which is the primary focus of every politician. And the earlier those of us who are lesser minions on the outside, the earlier we know this, the better it will be for us to know who exactly we should be voting for. All this is power play, compromises. That's what's going on. Power play. Okay, you go sacrifice your secretary. So let's put it in a balance and so on and so forth. We'll see how far it goes. March 25 is just around the corner, and let's see if that convention will hold. The result of that convention, I'm sure, will give us a clear idea of where we are headed. Meanwhile, my former schoolmate has still not declared. I'm just telling you because you've been on leave. I'll tell you that Oshibaju has not yet declared.
Okay.
But Tinubu says that both those who are hiding and those who are out is the best candidate of all.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he's the only one we're seeing now.
Yes, he's the most prominent, and if there's one thing to his credit, he's showing a sense of purpose, but premised on something that is premised on an idea that is completely selfish. My lifetime ambition to be president. That is not the reason why we should vote for you, sir. And stop saying that. You should be telling us that you want to make our lives better. I have this desire to make lives better. I know we've done this wrong in the past, and now we want to. It's not for you to tell us the degrees you had in accounting and that it was your lifetime ambition. We can't vote for you because that's your own ambition. Your ambition does not necessarily have to be ours. Having said all that, it's good to criticize him, but he's the only one out there.
He's the only one I can see.
So this man is a grandmaster of politics, whichever way you look at it, whether you like it or not. And I've heard some young people say all the time, why do you talk about Tinubu every time? Do you have a choice? You can't talk about the presidency, the presidential election, without mentioning his name. You can't. These are masters of the game. The rest are still dilly-dallying, playing rope-a-dope and shuffling and so on and so forth. I'm a bit disappointed in the vice president's whatever for just for that.
Well, we don't even
I would
know.
have seen
Before
a
you say we don't even know if he's running. We don't know. I mean,
no,
we don't know.
I know what I know. I will slap you.
We'll turn this place to an umbrella.
I will slap. There's no hair for you to pull. I will slap you. No, party. The only hair of my body is not visible to the naked eye, and you dare not go there. I will slap.
Let's not start slapping. Let's take this story before we go. I want us to touch this story.
Okay.
Before we even go at all, it's editorial: rethinking EFCC's cybercrime strategy.
Oh yes, thank you, Sheriff. It's this is what brought this story about
this one here, Abi?
Yes, about the guy. Please read it out so people can just
church founder wanted by FBI for wire fraud arrested in Enugu.
You see, this is why you know that if you commit an offense, either in America or to an American citizen, you will not get away. The FBI came all the way to Enugu, and I think they picked him up.
Yes, arrested him.
But you need to find time to read this editorial, rethinking AFCC cybercrime. Let me quickly read. They are talking about this recent development we have, where people are given very light sentences, an option of fine. For offenses that are committed. Listen here. It says in November 2021, Justice Inyang Ekwo of the Federal High Court Abuja refused to give a fine option to a member of the NYSC, Ajayi Ayokunle, who was convicted for defrauding an American. Imagine, the EFCC Council had called the attention of the judge to the plea bargain agreement that the convict be given a fine option. But after subjecting the court member to questioning, Ekwo ruled that it would not happen in his court and slammed the 2-month jail term. He was even lucky to have gotten away. They argue here that this cybercrime is about 40% of the crimes that are committed now. 40% of crimes that
40%.
are 40%. It says cybercrime accounted for about 43% of total monetary loss arising from fraud in the country in 2016. So it's not 40% of crime. I take that back. Is of monetary loss. If 43%, what about those who take from the cookie jar?
That one is something else.
And they take it in billions. Now, I think I want to disagree with this figure. Anyway, find time to read this editorial because they argue that the National Assembly needs to periodically review the existing laws to address contemporary crimes with adequate and appropriate punishment. Many anachronistic laws that are not in sync with current realities remain on the static books. Remember, at the time of our Constitution, when it was being put together in whatever form it was, there was no cybercrime. There was no cybercrime. So the laws under which they probably, would bring out, that's why you have a light sentence of option of fine and for a crime of that nature.
Yeah. But
Anyway.
we have to go now.
Yeah, we have to.
We have to go. At 9 o'clock, you have the ladies in here to
Oh, yes.
discuss what happened in Anambra.
Include the farmer, the stallion, and Taba Jajamila. Tough, some of the toughest women I've ever seen.
Fantastic.
They will now be talking, of course, about Islam.
I can't wait for that one. That's our show this morning. Thank you so much for coming.
All right.
I'm Sheriff. Let's take the news. After the news, we talk how you are coping with your business. This time with the diesel price, with the fuel issues. So I'm talking to you out there running businesses because we're getting reports of how businesses are being threatened right now. Stay here on Nigeria Info 99.3.
When opportunity knocks.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's